The purpose of this channel is to explain how to think in a simple and optimal way. In this video, we will develop a real case study I made in a real company. It will show you how to build a simple and optimal overview of several processes. This company is manufacturing various cardboard boxes made for packaging products. The company we name SPMC uses cardboard tubes to manufacture packaging boxes. I will use risk analysis to identify processes. In my approach, each process is focused on a single risk. There are two benefits to risk analysis. The first benefit is the ability to very quickly identify each process, and the second benefit is that you will find the key performance indicators using each of the risks. However, this subject will be discussed in another video. To begin mapping, we must ask the first question: what is the main process? To get the answer, we need to identify the customer risk to which the company is responding. In our case, if our customer does not have packaging for its products, it will not be able to distribute them to its own customers without damage. So the risk is inability to distribute its products. That is why we create the main process as cardboard box production line. The second question is to look at the inputs of SPMC. To produce cardboard boxes, it needs raw materials. The risk is then lack of raw material. So we create a second process we name purchasing. Next, we look for risk on the main process. The first risk is that the delivery does not satisfy the customer's needs. We name the risk inadequacy between the expressed need and the request. To address this risk, we create the process customer needs validation. Another risk on the main process is that of non-compliance. The first is non-compliance at the end of the manufacturing chain, to which the final inspection process responds. The second non-compliance is with the receipt of purchase, to which receipt control answers. We are adding two accounting processes to address the risk of non-collection of customers and payments to suppliers. We know that in any industrial company, there is a production process. To justify the process of setting up the production tool, let us ask ourselves the question of its usefulness. What happens if there is no production tool? The consequence, you can imagine, is that all manufacturing is carried out manually, which would lead to high production cost and unstable product quality. The function of the P3 process is therefore to maintain the main process P0 profitability. We now turn to the risks that could arise to this process. A danger or risk is that it can be built without a plan and with the first solution found. I'll give you time to think over in your own. Use pause. The answer is that we face the same risk as before. The response is a process, research and development and design of the production tool. Then a question from the client appears concerning human resources management. So we ask him, what is the purpose of human resources? Warning, the right question to ask is, what happens without human resources? The answer we found and confirmed with the company is that without human resources, there is no innovation, no control of hazard, and finally, no handling. So the role of human resources is to innovate, monitor the occurrence of hazards, and perform handling tasks. Now, what risk can human resources process? The answer is lack of certain skills. Risk on which the training process is focused. This process will address the lack of skills, particularly among some staff members, to gradually train them for several workstations. This was requested by the company and the managers in order to ensure great flexibility during the mission in the various workshops. What about quality management process? The answer is given by the question in negative. What happens without quality management? Then, non-quality is hidden, and there is no improvement in processes. At SPMC, management is responsible for planning and developing the product offer for its customers to monitor market developments. What is the associated risk? What happens if there is no M1 process? Pause the video to have time to think about it. The risk is that the offer may deviate and no longer be compatible with the company's business and its debit capacity. You should now be able to understand the M2 process and its risk. The last process is intended to fill the customer resource box with new clients and take care of them. This process is very critical. We must therefore think carefully about the associated risk to obtain the right indicators later in the study. The process is the one that answers the question you need to ask yourself: what is the risk that appears if this process does not exist? Take some time to understand the risk as defined by the company. I hope you have just understood, without going into detail, how to build a macro vision of a company's process. We use what I call a simple and optimal thinking. I've only skimmed over its logic, but you're probably able to use it directly in the field. Try it, and you will see that, thanks to the wording of the question in negative form, you will save a lot of time for the participants in your process analysis sessions. In the following video, we will see how to easily identify the key performance indicators for each of the processes. I am looking for people to discuss on the subject, so leave me a comment. I will answer all questions. To make sure you do not miss anything in this series, subscribe to my channel. Thank you in advance, and don't forget, learn to be simple and optimal.